Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MGTOW Academy YouTube channel. Thank you for stopping by. And for those of you who are subscribed that have been to my channel before, thank you and welcome back. So, I'm hosting my weekly live stream, and it's November 24th, 2017. So, in this specific live stream, I'm going to be later on joined by Mentalist MGTOW, and we're just going to be able to, talk and do all that stuff. So, until we can get Mentalist to join, I'll just be waiting for, more people to come into the stream, and that's pretty much it. So while more people come in, I'm going to go ahead and get some stuff set up, research some stuff, like what we're going to talk about, get that stuff set up. That's pretty much what we're going to be doing. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and send the link right now to Mentalist MGTOW. Me and Mentalist haven't got the opportunity to talk in a while. So I'm also going to get to catch up with him right now. I'll go ahead and send him the link right now. Hello, Free Happy Bob. Free Happy Bob says, "You sound scratchy, my friend." Do I? I'm not sick. Yeah, okay. Is that better, guys? All right, yeah, it sounds like my audio is a bit messed up. Hello? You guys? Apparently not. All right, sorry guys. Wait for some family members to go away. Yeah, good. I will. Yeah, I will. All right. All right, guys. If you please give me a second. By the way, how's the sound coming through? Is it good? Is it not good? Let me hear. Let me know in the live chat. Is it good? Oh, okay. It's fixed. It's fixed. Good. Okay. So now that everything is worked, it's starting to work. Um, now go ahead and send the link to Mentalist real quick. Okay, sorry guys. I'm talking to Mental Slur. Now he's asking what the topic is going to be like. If you guys have any topics you would like to suggest, please suggest in the live chat. So I'm probably going to talk about like, the future of feminism. I did release my Future of Feminism podcast yesterday. Pretty good. I suggest you check it out after this. But regardless of that, like I said, I just released it yesterday, and maybe after the stream ends, you can go ahead and watch it or listen to it. And maybe like talk a bit more into it in detail because there's like a whole lot of stuff that we can talk about. You know what I mean? It's just that um, I simply didn't have enough time to condense it into just one video or podcast. So, that's why everything, I want to, talk about that today with Mentalist MGTOW. Okay, so waiting for him to basically respond to the link I sent him, stalling until he gets it and gets to come onto the call. But in the meantime, let's go ahead. Let me see something real quick. Okay, you see, let me try it one more time. I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm gonna go to my laptop and see if it works. Just one more time, guys. One more time. Gotta go to my laptop one more time. Okay. I'm gonna have to see if it works because it's so hard to do. It's so hard. See if I can. Okay, so I huh. Okay, what the heck? Let's see what happens if I go over here. Well, yeah, I don't know why my audio sounds fucked up. But until we can get things set up and until Mentalist is able to come on to the call. There's Mentalist.
Hey, what's up, man? Let me.
Nothing much. We haven't talked in a while.
No, I've been busy. Hang on.
All right.
All right. Let me try that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I might have to rejoin the call because I tried to set my playback to my headset, but it doesn't look like the playback's working because I don't want to catch feedback during the live stream.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So, while I try to get the screen share set up on my laptop, oh, there's Mentalist. All right.
Shit.
It's not working?
No, it's still wanting to come out through my speakers. You know what? I bet I know what will help it. Hang on. I'll be right back again one more time.
All right.
All right.
Okay, so can you guys see my window? Yeah, you can. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can just like broadcast this window only. See if that works. Okay, so 1 second. Let me try to fix something.
Okay, one more go.
Is it working?
I cannot hear you guys, but I better know why. Okay, try me now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Anybody?
I'm trying to fix something with my audio. Do you hear two voices? Is that better? On. Trying to. The thing is that I'm actually talking from an iPad, but there's this echo.
All right.
It's pretty annoying.
Hmm.
See if that works.
See, now I'm not hearing you guys.
So,
I don't think.
does it fix it? See if this fixes it.
Somebody say something, so I see some green dots rolling. Give me a test.
Let's see.
Nope. All right, fuck it. I might let you guys tell me if you start hearing feedback during the live stream, and I'll have to figure something out.
Yeah, all right.
You know,
Do you keep on hearing this echo sound? I keep hearing that.
Give it one more shot.
All right. Is that me? Is it me only, or? Let's try to screen share, because I'm pretty sure it's a screen share that's messing it up.
Hey, I'm giving this one final shot.
Is that working?
No, I'm not hearing you. I'm going back to the.
I think I fixed it, right? I think I fixed it. Okay, I did. Whew. All right, everybody. Now let's see if we can actually get things going here. So, wait. Set.
All right, I'm on the previous setup. You guys got to let me know if you start hearing feedback, though.
I don't really hear anything like that, but hold on. I'm trying to. Okay, Mentalist, does my audio sound messed up?
It doesn't to me.
Yeah, because in the live chat, it sounded a bit messed up. Because it sounded very cracky. Because I'm monitoring the live stream off my iPad right now. And when I went on there, it sounded messed up. Okay, let's see. Let me go back. Okay, there we go. It's been fixed. Okay, I fixed it finally. There we go.
Yeah, my last recording, my mic started sucking with me on the audio quality, and I figured out that I am going to have to continue using a phantom power supply. So. Right. Yeah, okay. So, Mentalist, this one primary topic that I've been thinking of. In fact, I released a podcast on it. I think, just yesterday. And it's about basically like the future of feminism or something like that. And let me pull up the actual script right there, since I can't just think off the top of my head. I talked about how, feminism is obviously going to be influenced by, the sexual harassment stuff going around right now. Obviously, the violence against women, that kind of stuff. But I've also been thinking about how in the future, this could obviously going to be a male trial. I mean, not the entire world is going to go MGTOW. I'm just trying to say that there's going to be a big lack of available men in the future, and that feminism is going to do something about that. And feminism essentially has ties to everything. So, what's your take basically on the future of feminism? Really, what's your take on it? All right, right now, if you're talking about the future of feminism, in my opinion, okay, and everything's when I speak, it's always talking from my own perspective and opinions. But right now, what I'm seeing is that you've got kind of like how you have the manosphere and you have different camps of the manosphere and things that are going on. And you even have a couple different camps inside of MGTOW itself going on. You have to recognize that feminism has the same stuff going on. So when you're talking about the future of an ideology, which is, what feminism is, you have to understand that you have different sects within it. So, there's going to be multiple futures because there's multiple viewpoints and multiple sects of this ideology. So you have right now what I'm seeing happening is I see, primarily I'm seeing 2, maybe 3 different outcomes that are happening as far as the future of what they're going to do. Now, one is you have the ones that are basically trying to pull men back into the plantation for that whole TradCon viewpoint. They want to go back to how it was because they realize this shit ain't working, so they want to roll it back to the 1950s. All right. So,
right. Well,
but we don't want that because that traps us into gender roles just like it traps them in a gender role. We don't want that. So that's not the way to go. You're going to have a few fringists that might actually wake up to the truth and, believe it or not, kind of like go Cassie J's way. You have some feminists that are taking the red pill and actually going, well, shit, they got a point. We need to actually help them do something the right way. Believe it or not, you're going to find a few out there that are going to try to do the right thing. We even have a few that have started working with MGTOW movement here and there that have started trying to help do the right thing here and there. And then you have, you know, the ones that are going to continue to eat the bullshit that keeps getting fed to them by academia, and a lot of the gender studies classes that you see out there that are just going to continue to go, you know, tell them to keep shoveling guilt onto the white man, so to speak, and onto males in general. And those are the ones that are basically going to self-implode because they're the ones that are never going to get anywhere successfully, because they're always going to bite the hand that feeds them, because that's what they're raised to do at this point. So I see that kind of being the, you know, 2 or 3 different ways that feminism is going to go in the immediate future.
All right. And so what do you think is the possibility of, I know this may sound crazy and all, but I personally, as of right now, think it's a possibility. And here's the thing. In the future, because there will be a lack of available men to marry and date, it would be possible in order to sustain a stable society, the government at some point may have to start enforcing marriage. And as ridiculous as that may sound, obviously feminism has a major influence in a lot of things like the media, including our government and the laws. So it would make sense that if the feminists or the feminism movement has the agenda to force marriage upon men, that would actually happen. So do you think that would happen, and if so, when?
All right, sorry about that. I unknowingly had something running in the background that was talking to me while you were trying to ask me that question. Can you go back over that question for me?
Oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Sorry about that.
So it's all right. So the thing is that in the future, there's obviously going to be a lack of men available to date and marry. Basically, go back to the plantation and all that stuff. So, right. Yeah. So feminism has a major influence in our media, in our government, in our laws, and all that stuff. So if the feminists would want us to basically, you know, force marriage upon men, it would be possible because they have a major influence in everything. They can brainwash society to, you know, to think that their agenda is to think it's correct. So they can easily do it, but would they do it, and at what point would they do it?
Well, I think right now, unlike things that have happened in the past, like the White Feather Girls and the Bachelor tax and things like that, where they have been able to affect legislature and basically use traditional shaming tactics to force men into situations that they didn't want them in. With the rise of red pill awareness and the new narrative that is out there, we're actually beginning to stop them from being able to do those things.
All right.
So I think because the narrative is changing right now, that they're no longer going to be able to do that. And I think that's part of the reason you're starting to see so much upheaval in some of the radical feminist camps, like the third wavers and things like that, because they're starting to get pissed off that society is beginning to go, no, you know, we recognize that men have problems, and because that narrative is actually beginning to happen, they're panicking.
Okay. All right. So, okay, so who will, you know, the feminists go after in the future? Because, you know, usually they will tend to go after a specific group of people. Who do you think they'll go after in the future based on the current?
No, they're going to keep going after us right now because they hate us. Okay, they do. They hate us. They spew vitriol about us at every chance they get. We are their primary targets. MRAs and MGTOWs are their primary targets. Now, MGTOW is just starting to, you know, peak in recognition, you know, because we're starting to get mentioned in newspapers, and, you know, hell, like a month or so, or I don't know how many months ago, I actually got quoted by Axe, so that was kind of cool.
Yep, I remember that.
Right. So corporations are recognizing us. The news media is starting to recognize MGTOW. Now, they've already been recognizing the MRAs, but now they're starting to recognize us also. So because the MRAs have started hitting a little limelight, a little spotlight, whether positive or negative, it's also started bringing attention over to us. So you're gonna continue to have us be the target. Now, MGTOW specifically is going to start being a primary target very soon. Mark my words on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Okay. Hold on. Just trying to fix something right here. Okay. So in the future, also, I know I'm asking a lot of questions about the future and all that, but I'm just out of pure curiosity. So, how do you think society as a whole, not just feminism, but society as a whole, is going to react to more men staying single and all that? How are they going to react to it?
Okay, so I'm going to take that. If you don't mind, I'm going to answer that in a twofold question.
Okay.
First, or a twofold answer. First, I'm going to go with how is feminism going to react to it right now, and what I'm seeing right now, and probably in the future, is they're going to start coming up with these like excuses and reasons and theories as to why they think men are doing that from their perspective. Okay, because they're only interested in their perspective. They're not interested in cultural relativity. And like Brad Wilcox, I mean, I can't stand the guy because he did the same thing. He's from Prager University, and I've actually seen Prager University start taking a few steps back and rethinking their approach after Brad Wilcox got reamed by the MGTOW community for his shit, last year. So Prager U is actually taking a stance to start supporting some of what MGTOW is saying instead of trying to discredit it after basically he got torn apart.
Right.
Yeah, and he did, man. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're going to start seeing society. I think it's going to go this way. I think society, not feminism, is going to begin to stand on the fence and kind of do the whole thinking face emoji, like and then I think honestly they're going to start falling on one side of the fence or the other. So I think we're actually going to start gaining MGTOW supporters out of society, as well as people that are just going to continue to follow the feminist camp and whatever women say, and that's how it is for them. But
and what about the women? Because there are some who do support the whole MGTOW thing, the whole MGTOW philosophy, but it's hard to determine if they're really on our sides or not. What about that?
All right. Well, when it comes to that, it's a mixed bag. Now, I gotta be clear about which kind of female you're asking me about. Are you asking me about a feminist female or a non-feminist female?
No, just a non-feminist female.
Non-feminist female. I think you're going to get a few non-feminist females that are going to back us. And I can say that because, like I said, I know a lot of MGTOW don't like the MRA, but you can look at the honey badgers, and the honey badgers are constantly fighting for things that try to, improve male standing in society and things like that, and they never cease doing that. So, I mean, I back them because they do that. But, you're going to have those females that are being manipulative. All right, they're going to front up and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to, try to help men, this, that, and the other, because they still want to get that protection and that agency that comes with a male partner and, the hypergamy, fishing pool that they have and, the monetary enhancement to their life that's going to come from it. Yeah, you're going to have ones that are trying to do that, just like you do now. That's going to continue.
Right. Right.
I mean,
okay.
You can't change the nature of society overnight. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Okay. So also, this is just a general thought. This whole mansplaining thing, it's a bunch of BS made up by feminists, and it's pretty old, I guess. But recently, I read this story, and I'm sure you've seen it too. It was about this woman who called out this guy for manspreading on a New York subway, and
that's not wild.
Got punched. Yeah, she got punched and all that. I mean, she definitely didn't deserve to be punched, but the whole calling out you for manspreading and all that, I don't think you have to take it that far. You know what I mean? But
no, and that's always been bullshit because, frankly, I mean, one of the biggest things I've always found amusing about the whole manspreading thing is, the whole thing somebody else pointed out a long time ago, and I really thought that was one of the best things. Like, okay, that's cool. I'm taking up too much space by just being there and being a dude or whatever. But you can take, 7,000 bags and place them in the 2 seats next to you and take up 3 seats by yourself and your shopping and your purses. But I can't, be comfortable while I'm sitting in the seat. Go, what?
Exactly.
Fuck
Sure.
off. Fuck right off.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the times, the pictures that I see online of men supposedly man-spreading, it's usually on empty public buses or on empty trains. And
Right.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Now, here's the main question that I'm posing here. So why exactly are feminists coming up with these terms like man-spreading and mansplaining? Now, I understand it's sort of like a shaming tactic, but really, what's the general motive, so to speak, behind this? Why are they trying to make, like some sort of like a social revolution by changing policies on public transportation and trying to change the laws on little petty things that are unnecessary, like manspreading? Like, why are they really doing this?
Well, because all right, so this goes back to, I guess they're testing this old saying, and some people may have heard it, and some people may have not heard it. There's an old saying that says 2 wrongs don't make it right. Well, they've been fed this like toxic garbage into their mind and shoved down their proverbial gullets, as it were, that men have been oppressing them and this, that, and the other. And so now they've got this brainwashed hatred towards us. And so they're trying to take out any little quote unquote microaggressions, because that's some poor shit too, in my opinion. People need to get the fuck over themselves. They're trying to come up with any ways they can to lash out at men for the sake of them being men. And that's what I think that it's all about, is they're just trying to exert this overbearing power towards us because they think it's going to give them some sort of victory or justice, even though it never will. It's never going to make them feel better about themselves or anything else. It's really just a bunch of garbage they're doing to get attention and to cry. Oh, I love that one. I use it all the time.
Right, yeah. And this whole thing about women, men oppressing women, it's pretty ridiculous. And I'm trying to pull up the image right now. I mean, I don't have to read over every single thing, but there are statistics showing things. For example, men lead in the most work-related deaths per year. They lead in suicides. Well, if feminists truly wanted equality, they should go and commit suicide themselves if they want to, get rid of the suicide gap. Am I right? That's equality right there.
Why did you get savage over here?
No, am I right?
Damn. My Academy went savage. Oh,
yeah. They seriously should, because remember, feminism is power, not equality. It's been that way ever since the first wave. You know what I mean? I always thought that it was third wave feminism and third wave feminism alone that it was like the bad in the bunch, so to speak. It was just that one bad wave of feminism. But when you look at it from a bigger perspective, the waves of feminism were really about power, hence the name women empowerment, and not equality. Because look at the first wave of feminism. It only fought or advocated for women's suffrage. And, modern feminists, they apparently think that means suffering. No, it means women being given the right to vote. So it advocated for women's suffrage. Well, how come it didn't advocate for women being required to register for selective service? And, this whole draft our daughter, hashtag draft our daughters thing, it's new. But I looked up, on Google, multiple searches, like, for example, first wave feminism and selective service. I had to do very broad and general searches, and I still couldn't find any website or any article or any webpage about first wave feminists trying to advocate for women being required to register for selective service. And I don't know about you, mentalist, but women, being able to vote but not being required to register for selective service is not equal. In fact, I see it more of like a two-way, like two things, like privilege and responsibility, I guess. And what I mean by that is the privilege is being given the right to vote. The responsibility is that you have to register for the draft. And feminists never fought for that. It was all about being given the right to do something. It was all about this whole empowerment thing. Second wave feminism, Yeah, true. It did fight for workplace equality and all that, but a major part of second wave feminism was the right for babies, innocent babies, that is, innocent babies, to be legally killed, just because women were too lazy to fulfill their biological function. And third wave feminism, we all know that's just uh, I call it a boatload of dildos. That's what I call for third wave feminism. It's really messed up, really. Uh,
No,
but looking at, like, if you analyze all versions or all waves of feminism, it's really messed up. It was never truly about equality. Many people think it's only third wave feminism, but it's really all the waves that were really messed up.
now I need some context to go with that previous deal about the children, being legally killed. Are you talking about uh, like rights for abortions and things like that, or?
I mean, they advocated for abortions, like access for women to be able, access for easier abortions or something like that.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
Yeah,
all right.
sure.
Well, and we were talking about earlier about the future of feminism, this, that, and the other. And of course,
Right.
we're talking. The history also has to do with the future, this, that, and the other. And now I was noticing something you pulled up earlier a little bit that said that feminism is religion, and I have to agree that on this third wave, that is true. That feminism has basically become religion to a lot of people in the feminist camp. And I'm gonna quote somebody. And a lot of people may know who I'm talking about here when I quote this, but it's like this. You have like the whole connotations of language in feminism, right? They talk about, you can't say policeman because that will discourage girls and women from wanting to work in the police force or something like that. So you have to say like police officer or something like that, something that's neutral. But yet, the term patriarchy is fine, and that doesn't have any connotations. But when you say patriarchy, what you're really talking about is men. Okay? So you have the force for good and justice, feminism, right? Which is the way. And you have the word for everything that is wrong and evil and bad in the world, right? Which is patriarchy.
Right.
But that kind of language, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that language, right? According to feminism. But you have like all of this kind of stuff that people don't realize that they're being brainwashed and fed this stuff, and it's basically just religious zealotry.
Right. Yeah.
That's being force fed them mentally. All right. And anybody who's watched the Red Pill will know where I'm pulling that from. That was something that Karen Strawn said during the documentary.
Yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, I mean, it basically is. I mean, it is a almost a cultist religion at this point, as far as third wave.
Right. And also, I want to know if you agree with me on this take on the spread or the growth of feminism in the future. And a lot of the stuff that about feminism in the future has to do with less men being available to date and marry. So I just have this feeling, and I'm pretty sure it'll be true in the future, that a lot more women will resort to feminism because of a man job, because they're going to think that it's the men's fault that men don't want women. In reality, it's women themselves, which is why men choose to stay single and go their own way. But I personally think that more women are just going to say, you know what, it's the men's fault. I'm going to resort to feminism because I am a strong, independent woman. I think that's how it's going to turn out. Don't you agree?
No, actually, I think it's going to go the opposite.
All right. Can you explain why?
Yeah, because if you look at the statistics out there now, and I'm big on data. I like to have facts and numbers to back up my stuff. And
yeah.
There over the last several years, like probably 5-10 years, there's been a big decline in people who identify with feminism, including women.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, more women that have stopped identifying with feminism in the past years, because of the things that radical third wave feminism is doing. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to see an increase in red pill men, both MRA sector, MGTOW sector, both people that cross over like myself, and just people in general that join the whole red pill manosphere setup. Okay. And decide to be single and or short term dating, et cetera, that don't really want to have the state involved in any of the relationships or whatever. But I think you're going to actually see feminism evolve into something else because people are beginning to stop following them because they have become toxic. I mean, they were toxic at the time, but people are beginning to see the toxicity inside of that ideology in its current form.
Right. Oh yeah, and Mentalist. By the way, in the live chat, Carlos B1 says, "Don't believe women who say they don't identify with feminists," and that's part of what I was going to bring up. So you were saying how less women are starting to identify by the term feminist. But just because you say, "Oh, I'm not a feminist," that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have the same motives of a feminist. You know what I mean? So the name of feminism, it may change in the future, and it may not even have a name at all. But like some sort of a movement, like feminism will happen in the future. Do you get what I'm trying to say here?
No, I get
it. You know what I mean?
And remember, I mentioned that earlier too. Like I touched on that earlier when I was saying that you're going to have you're going to have people that are manipulative no matter what. All right, that's just a given. You have people that say one thing and do another, and I hate to say it, but women are really, really bad about that at times. That's just their nature.
Yep, I can agree. Oh yeah, and by the way, this is a bit unrelated to anything we're talking about right now. But with all the crap going on with YouTube and MGTOW channels, like MGTOW is freedom. This channel is like completely, it got terminated. Lots of channels are just going away right now. So I'm not going to say the name of the website, but you said you've been building. I know the name of the website, but I'm not sure if you exactly want me to say it on the stream. But have you finished working on that alternative platform for MGTOW content creators yet?
I haven't finished it yet. However, I will say this too: if you're looking for an alternative immediately to start putting up your channels, a lot of the MRA guys have been going over to a website called Minds.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
At that, I've already got an account set up over there, so if they ever shut down my channel here, I'm just going to upload everything over there immediately.
Yeah, I'm starting to get I'm just looking for a backup channel. Not a backup, a mirror channel. Like I upload whatever I upload to YouTube, I'll upload it to the alternative platform. In this case, minds.com or whatever it may be.
Yeah. But what I'm wanting to do there, like I said over there with the new website once it's up and done and everything, and forgive me for not having it up already over the last several weeks. Right. I actually, for people who know me, I actually had about 3 weeks to a month where I had some serious life circumstances that took me out of work and everything else.
I'm sorry, I had what? I couldn't hear that part.
It took me out of work and everything else. So I had a situation happen where for 3 weeks to a month, I actually couldn't do too much of anything. And so, I had to get everything sorted. I mean, everything's good now, and it's fine. I'm all, back and everything's hunky-dory. But I did have some serious stuff going on.
Oh, okay. Glad to know you're okay. Okay, so another thing that I guess you could say like a bit of a prediction based off of what I've seen and what I, know, I guess, is that the attitudes of women in the future is going to get worse. And here's basically why. So basically, I guess you condense it down to 3 reasons. Reason number 1 being that, well, first of all, when women are brought up, they get entitlement because, when they're like school-aged children and all that stuff, the boys will do the little petty things like holding the door open, sharing food with them, whatever it may be, all that stuff. That creates entitlement and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's usually why the pretty girls have the more horrible attitude. is they get all the better preferential treatment. And number two, social media, and this plays a big role in it. You see, we're living in a generation where kids who are literally toddlers, who aren't even going to school yet, are getting access to technology. And, obviously don't have social media at that young age, but, at a pretty early age, I guess, they'll get access to social media. And that creates a self-centered attitude. So when you add that self-centered attitude to the entitlement, that's going to create a horrible attitude. On top of that, we have all the, this feminism-inspired media, which basically teaches women at a young age, girls, in fact, not women, girls at a young age, before they even reach puberty, in fact, that simply because you have 2 Y chromosomes in a vagina, that you are automatically entitled to this, this, and this, and that you are a strong, independent woman, despite the fact that you live under your parents' household. That is what feminism, inspired media, like commercials and whatnot, are teaching the generation of younger girls. So when you add all that together, they're going to have really messed up and horrible attitudes. Don't you agree that something like that is going to be happening, in the future?
Well, I think that's happening now. That's
happening now. Yeah,
the future is happening now. I mean,
yeah, future's
go online and you see a girl who has posted one, half-ass, shit-infested selfie on, Facebook and gets like 700 likes on it or some shit, from a bunch of blue pill guys that are, drooling, trying to, putting pussy on a pedestal, trying to get in her panties and this, that, and the other, and making her feel much more important than she has the entitlement to feel, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is going to stop that is, that kind of stuff is when more and more guys begin to take the red pill and realize that they're wasting their time, their energy, their agents, their finances, and a lot of their time in life, in general, all around, dealing with that kind of shit that's going to get them nowhere. Right? When they grow up, you take that pill and realize the truth, and you get those blinders pulled back off their eyes. A lot of those entitled women are going to hit a social brick wall. Okay?
Right.
Because all that entitlement that they have become accustomed to is going to get them nowhere. And they're going to realize that they're going to have to actually stand on their own 2 feet, develop a skill set, and do something for themselves. Because guys are going to stop doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Okay, so how will things exactly change in the future? Like, as more men basically take the red pill, I guess you could say, like you mentioned, more men are going to start to take the red pill, and more entitled women will hit that wall, so to speak. So how will that affect women, I guess, is like a byproduct of more men taking the red pill? Will it reduce the entitlement? Will it make it worse? What's going to happen?
Oh, no. They're going to have to, one of the big things in nature is you have to evolve or you die off. All right. And I doubt socially they're looking at the social death of a gender there, so or the sex there. So I really think that they're gonna learn to swallow that entitlement. If more men, and I think they will, go red pill and start pushing for what is actual equality, where men and women are looking at being on the even playing field, which is basically what MGTOWs demand. All right, we don't ask for it; we demand it in our daily life. We're not pussing out, so to speak, and letting women tell us what we can and can't do, and let society tell us what we can and can't do. We're demanding equality, and we're demanding it now individually in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
Because we understand all the bullshit and the manipulations that are out there. Right, we get it. So as more and more men do that and take that attitude and adopt that ideology and that social mindset, you're going to see more and more women have to drop the entitlement because they won't have a choice, okay? Because they're not going to get the shit they're used to getting from society and from men. So they're going to have to adapt. And the only way to adapt and have men listen to them or treat them as equals is to swallow that entitlement, bring their ass down a few pegs, and put themselves on the same playing field that we're at. So I do believe that's how it's going to happen. because
Right.
you have to evolve.
And
Right.
yeah, and I've also heard, well, I believe I've seen it somewhere on Twitter, actually. It's like this infographic of how what society is going through right now, basically MGTOW, like a large male exodus. It's like a cycle
Mhm.
that, we go through. So the problems occur in society, it becomes gynocentric. Then men realize, they wake up, get red pilled, so to speak, and see what's going on. Then they're going to see what's going on. Then basically, just lots of men are going to start going their own way. Women realize what's the problem. They go back to being normal, and then it's like a continuous cycle like that. Is that what's going to happen? Like, it's just going to be in a cycle like that? Like,
Well,
things going to go back to normal eventually?
Well, hang on. No, I don't think it's going to go back to normal. I don't think it's going to do that at all. It's like this. I mean, all right, let me ask you a question, and I think this will answer that question for you. All right, could you go back to being blue pill?
Mhm.
Could you just blind yourself from all the things that you now know about society and nature and how things really work?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm asking. Could you
Oh, I'm sorry.
become blue pill at this point in your life? Could you just not understand the things you know about, societal nature, female nature, and about the way that things actually work? Could you go back to being blind all?
Oh, no way. It's impossible.
Well, then how in the world could people who have gained red pill knowledge and can see the truth about everything out there ever not see it anymore? How can you unsee the truth?
Well, maybe like in the future. I mean, it's not going to be like an immediate thing within the next 20 to 30 years. Like maybe it'll be actually like a couple of decades from now where the stuff going on will kind of be forgotten. Of course, it'll be in history and all that stuff. But I mean, a lot of stuff will eventually be forgotten. That's what I mean.
No, I don't think the red pill philosophy and all that's going anywhere. No, I don't
It's
think
going to stay?
No, it's going to stay.
Because,
Like I said,
okay.
it's going to stay because all right, you are basically a great example of that. Like, all right, I'm a first generation red pill. All right,
Right, same here.
I was here from the beginning. All right, and all that. Now, whenever we have like the technology to to have kids without having to have a female involved, or we adopt or whatever else, so that we have kids the state, can't tie themselves to, our women can't tie themselves to through the state. I don't know about you, but if I ever get the chance to do that, adopt or have, a female free child, which would be awesome. I'm going, if I have a son or a daughter for that matter, I'm going to teach them red pill knowledge. Right?
Yep.
I'm going to make sure that those blinders are off. And also on top of that, my nephews, my little cousins, things like that, all the guys, that are in my life, the small kids, the guys, I'm going to make sure I make time at some point in their upbringing that I'm going to sit down with them and I'm going to teach them this stuff. I'll make sure that they understand this. So no, red pill knowledge isn't going anywhere. It's still going to get passed down.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, actually, I've been talking, just today, actually. He's actually like a year older than me, but he, because of, the way that people get married and all that stuff, he's apparently my uncle, even though he's like a year older than me, whatever. He came over today. I was like, talking to him about, the MGTOW philosophy and stuff and, things like that. Yeah, I see what you mean by, how it's going to spread and all that stuff. Yeah, I see what you mean.
All right, so we got a live chat comment here from Carlos B.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. Yeah.
So I believe we have to look at other countries. Look at Australia. Military is banning males from entering the military in order to put more women in. Have you seen the video from Sweden where 3 Swedish female cops could not handle 1 refugee? Feminism will only get worse unless something major happens. Traditional male-female roles must be advocated. All right, Carlos, I have to admit, I don't understand what in the hell Sweden's been thinking about their whole feminism thing, because every article I've read about Swedish dealing with feminist-based laws and structure that they're trying to implement has just been insane. Right? Because frankly, if you're
this is gonna crumple, I don't even care.
Tired for it.
Yeah. You know what, Mentalist? Okay. So, if feminists were a country, or if feminism were to be a country, let Sweden be a perfect example, and let that be an example of what feminism is. Am I right?
Well, I mean, yeah, and here's the thing, you know, once Australia starts losing wars and shit, and its military can't do dick because they're trying to use affirmative action for some sort of recruiting pool, and the same thing when the crime rate starts going up in Sweden because you know their police force can't do dick because they're trying to use affirmative action as a recruiting tool. Well, we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
When the populace starts going into unrest, you'll have your answer about that.
Yep. Okay, and what countries do you think are gonna besides Sweden and all that stuff? Well, let me ask a question like this: how are countries and governments and whatnot? How are they gonna be reacting in different ways to the change or the shift in society? You know what I mean? Like more men just going their own way. How are the countries like how are they going to react to it? How's the economy of the country going to react to it? How's that going to play out?
Look at Japan. Japan's a perfect example. Japan's government right now is panicking because they're figuring in a few generations they're almost going to look at being extinction because you have the herbivore male movement, which is like one of the first MGTOW movements that happened in Asia. Right. It happened about the same time that MGTOW happened here, like right around the same time frame. Yeah, so Carlos knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so Japan's government is already shitting bricks because they think that their population's about to die off, and Japan depends on its population to be successful and to stay in the mainstream first world market, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Right. And another thing is all this thing about the sexual harassment crap basically that's going around in I guess Hollywood, wherever it may be. This is more of a personal opinion. Do you personally believe it's true, or do you believe it's bullshit? What do you think about that?
I believe the ones that have proof, and I don't believe the ones that don't. I mean, it's really that simple for me.
Really that simple. Yeah, the thing is that I'm not sure because some of them their stories are so believable that they don't have proof. Some they haven't even filed police reports, things like that. So I'm not even sure. It's honestly confusing, but nonetheless, guys are actually afraid of women. I've been reading these articles about how guys they're afraid of interactions with women. I believe now companies are trying to hire men only and all that stuff. They're just trying to make it. They're just trying to be extra cautious. When things shouldn't be that way. Men shouldn't really be afraid of women in the workplace. They shouldn't. The last thing that you should be thinking about is getting accused or possibly being accused of sexual harassment or something like that. Because, that really can mess up your career.
You're right, but in living in this society right now, if you as a male are not worried about that, you need to take off the rose-colored glasses. But I'll give you two really good examples of something dealing with that whole current event that's going on right now with the harassment. All right, Harvey Weinstein. Okay, they got so much evidence on that guy actually doing it that he's just a shitbag. Sorry, no two ways about it. But look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Okay, they had no evidence of him actually doing anything, and his shit got dropped because they couldn't prove anything because there was nothing to prove. So I think you got a mixed bag. I think you got three different things. I think you actually have some shit bags that are, getting their comeuppance. I think you got some people that are getting accused of some shit they didn't do. And I think you got some people that are trying to play the spotlight to get attention to themselves, trying to use this, and they're taking away from, from people who are actually victims, by trying to play this to basically toot their own horn and go, look at me. They're probably third wave feminists.
Right. Okay. And this is something I've been wondering before. Some people across the MGTOW community, this whole men's rights movement thing, some are supportive of it, some are not. Why? I mean, obviously, there has to. I mean, now there is progress, but before things haven't been working out so well. So, obviously, you've been working on a lot of work yourself, and I can see that there's progress going on.
Right.
But, why are just, some guys saying no to the men's rights movement? I mean, I understand that it's easier to just give up and say no and walk away, but really why?
Well, I mean, that answer, I think, just kind of falls into people's personality types, man. I mean, You have people who are just going to be more content ignoring a problem, okay, and doing a passive resistance, which is what MGTOW started out, mostly as. It was just a passive resistance to society being broken as fuck, when it comes to men. All right, and that's all fine and good. I mean, that is one way to deal with the problem, is taking just individual responsibility. And sometimes that's all people want, is individual responsibility. Okay,
right.
Then you have people that are in the men's rights, movement that went, okay, I want individual responsibility, but I also want to help the problem. I want to fix the problem. And those are the people that are going into the men's rights movement. All right, there's nothing wrong with either one of those viewpoints and either one of those stances, okay, because they're both a stance and they're both doing something in their own right, So it just depends on what level of responsibility I think that you want as a man in living in the society we have. Do you want to be the guy who takes a stance individually, kind of like the old cowboy in the Wild West movie that sits on his corner and does his own thing and fuck what everybody else thinks about it? All right, there's nothing wrong with that.
All right,
that's perfect.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Or do you want to be the Wyatt Earp that wants to go out there and bust down a fool and make a list, take some names, blow the heads off some red sashes? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
I'm not trying to paint a crazy picture of either one. It's just I'm just making light of where the mentality is, in my opinion. I think those are really the two things there. Are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to take an individual stance on it in your daily life, or are you wanting to take a stance to try to help work within a fucked up society and try to fix it? Okay, because the thing is like I know there's this whole noble notion that MGTOW will topple society. That's not going to happen, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to topple society. Okay. I think that vision's a little too large. I think we have to work with the tools we have personally to try to help other men. So that's why I do it. That's why I cross over to both, because I understand the MGTOW philosophy, and primarily I follow that in my daily individual life. Okay, but I still do activism work to help my fellow men, because I feel a sense of brotherhood with my fellow man going through this life as a man. Okay, so I have a sense of brotherhood that way, so I want to help. So that's why I do.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, MGTOW isn't about women hate. It's not about hating women. It's not about trying to topple society, like you just said. I mean, it's about men going their own way. It's said in the acronym itself. It's not men hating women. It's not men trying to topple society. It's men going their own way, right? And by the way,
it's an individual. It's a passive resistance to what society's doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And by the way, Jimmy Jam says in the live chat, I would like to see the percentages of men who are against MGTOW and how many of them are actually married.
Well, it's funny. I've actually turned some men who were already married to the red pill and to being MGTOW while they were still in their marriage.
yeah, exactly. And the whole thing about them being married and all that stuff, I don't think that's actually really major, really a factor. It's the people who are against MGTOW are really going to be the white knights and all that stuff. They're to protect the women, just so they can supposedly get laid and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Women and children first. Well, you have fun dying in the fireball or drowning in the ocean, asshole.
Good way to put that, then. Yeah. Anyways.
I thought it's always funny when I have a stewardess when I'm on a plane. The stewardess said, when I sit in, I'm a big dude. I'm like 6'8". I'm tall as shit, so I always get the wing seat usually in like the smaller aircrafts. So it's funny as shit. Because they're like, oh, are you going to make sure that you help everybody else out first? Oh, yeah, sure. And I'm sitting here thinking in the back of my head, no, bitch, I'm gone. This plane goes down. I'm the first one out. Fuck you guys. I want to be next to this door so that if we start to die, I don't die.
Oh, God. Okay, anyways. Actually, Misanthropic Altruist says those percentages will likely reveal that most anti-MGTOW are actually single simps more than married simps. Yeah, true. A lot of them are actually can be single.
Hey, you know what? I know sometimes me and Altruist don't always see eye to eye on everything, but I got to agree with him on that. He's probably dead on with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Okay, so another thing is okay. So we all know that feminism has a major influence in the government, but how's it going to affect us in the future? What I mean by that is the laws specifically. How are the laws going to change in the future, in coordination, I guess, of the current events that are unfolding? Like, for example, the sexual harassment stuff. They can, the laws may change so that the definition of sexual harassment is looking at a woman or touching her and making her uncomfortable. When I mean touching, I don't mean like, sexually inappropriately. I mean, maybe you bump into her or something and she gets uncomfortable. They could change the laws, to be something like that. So what's your take on that? What's going to happen to the laws in the future in coordination with the current events and with feminism?
I hate to sound like a fucking fortune cookie here, but I really think that the saying it's going to get worse before it gets better would apply to that. I think the laws are actually, because of the money that is in feminism right now, that's fighting for their spin on legislature and everything right now, because they have way more money tied up with the government than we do, and they have way more positive social media, so to speak, and social shit, in day-to-day conversations and narratives, that I think right now it's going to get worse before it gets better, because they still have too much pull in the laws. And I think it's going to get to the point where laws are going to get so oppressive, until actually you're really going to see, kind of an uprising of men, almost kind of similar to what Women's Lib did, in a little bit of a way. And I think until it happens, you're not really going to see the legal and or social narrative, for that matter, change until you start having like men's marches and shit like that happening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking of by that cycle. That's kind of what I was thinking about or talking about. It would be like a cycle where where we would have the the men's marches and all that stuff when things get too oppressive, and then everything comes sort of equal. Then one's going to rise against the other, and then there's going to be some exodus of the sex, and something like that's going to happen. That's kind of what I was talking about.
Oh, and Altruist, just to like clear that up, buddy, that wasn't like any kind of like daggered any sideways comment or anything to you. It's just I've like looked at some of your stuff here and there, and it's like 50-50. Like some of the stuff you say, I'm like, oh yeah, I can go with that. And then like some of the stuff I see, it's just like, maybe not. But that's all that is. But nothing serious.
Yeah. And hold on a second. Let me read something on live chat. This is already okay. So Jimmy Jam says this is already occurring in my construction trade. I can't look at my supervisor in the eyes because of the 5-second rule. She could say I was Googling it. The 5-second rule. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't heard of the 5-second rule unless it applies to a college dorm room. But but I get what he's saying. Yeah, no, it's
I get what you're saying. I never heard of it though.
I think what Jimmy's saying here is that you can't like brush up against a woman accidentally. You can't like look at her or anything else. I mean, we live in a society where any little quote unquote microaggression could even land you in a civil suit, with somebody. It's ridiculous. I mean, God forbid. I was going to say, God forbid you live in California.
You mean California? It's not California. It's California.
Oh, dude, I lived out there for a year. I couldn't even live out there a year without having a lawsuit filed on me. I mean, they lost.
Did you actually have a lawsuit filed on you?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I had some bitch file a lawsuit on me because I basically gave her a what-for verbal tongue lashing for talking to me like I was some sort of inferior human being. And, before I knew it, she found some way to, file a lawsuit on me. I mean, she lost. She lost bigger than shit. The judge laughed her ass out of the courtroom.
Oh God! Now you're lucky it happened to you in this day and age. You know, at some point in the future, unfortunately, she could have won that lawsuit. You know, if that happened in the future, she might have won that lawsuit.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, get the fuck out, dude. That's the best advice. Like, especially if you live in Southern California, fuck that place, man. Get out of there.
Yeah, you should, and not just California. Eventually, it's going to happen to. Honestly, I think it's going to happen to the entire United States. And you know what I mean? Like it might happen to the because we're in the West, and a lot of countries, they're starting to like block off Western civilization basically because they're seeing how we're starting to crumple. Because of feminism and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So they're starting to basically cut off Western civilization because we are an example of what happens when we let feminism take over the government and take over, whatever it may be. That's an example right there. So they're starting to cut off Western civilization. But, everything in the United States, I honestly just have a feeling that it's going to turn into a total shithole at some point. So I'm honestly thinking about like moving out to a different country. Like maybe, I guess you can call it like a back. I don't plan on moving out of the country unless it gets really, really bad. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I've considered it. Like I've already looked at the logistics of it and shit myself. Like, trust me, I see what you're saying. Honestly, the whole first world shit that's going on dealing with catering to feminism and gynocentrism and everything else has made me seriously look at getting the hell out of this whole area and going somewhere else. There's been times.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so what about like the younger I guess generation of boys, I guess, turning to MGTOW and all that? Do you like how do you think that's going to work with the younger, just the MGTOW philosophy? How do you think it's going to work with the younger generation? Look, I know that may seem like a question that I should be somebody should be asking me since I'm 14, but you would obviously have a better understanding of how things work, I guess. You know what I mean?
Life
So
experience.
how do you think that's going to work?
So I think actually it's going to be, I think it's going to be good. The younger guys are starting to go, MGTOW. Hang on, let me miss it. Alter is saying something here. Hang on, let's change words. Altruist, you got a point. I mean, I think that'll happen. I think we should address what he's saying there too.
Yeah.
But as far as your question goes, I think it's going to be good. Okay, because I think it's going to fall back into what we were talking about a little earlier when we were talking about the entitlement. Okay, that goes on. Because I think having a young generation of red pill men growing up and a young generation of women are seeing these guys take that stance, I think it's going to start to equal out some of the shit. It's going to clean out a lot of the social expectations. So I think, that's good. And I think, within the next 2 or 3 generations, you're going to start to see a huge shift in that, social expectation paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be a good thing. Now, what Altruist was saying here is that, you kind of have this Western flight going on and that other countries are going to start to backlash against that. He's probably right because there's a lot of other countries that don't like Western countries and have issues with it.
I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. But yeah, no, I think he's right. You will start seeing a backlash with that, but I don't think it's going to stop it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there is no way to stop that. And what about like an economic, or not just an economic, but like a collapse, I guess, as a whole? I mean, I'm not saying that there's going to be like a zombie outbreak, but, MGTOW channels, they've talked about, there being some sort of like a collapse, collapse is occurring. And I'm not afraid of that. I'm just simply wondering, how's that exactly going to play out? Like, is there just going to be a point where the government gets overthrown and everything is total pure chaos? Is that what happens? Or
eventually,
what exactly do they mean by there being a collapse?
Eventually, you're going to have the people rise up against the government. I think. I mean, that's going to happen because you're going to have intelligent people start to get hungry. All right, that's just how it is. And when intelligent people start to have to tighten their belts, shit happens. And, you know, history has showed us that. But yeah, as far as the economic collapse, we're in that right now. Like, that's happening. I mean, that's not really a MGTOW subject per se. I mean, I guess technically it is, but you look around at between the 1950s and now, like if you went and got an inflation calculator, you would see that the $2 minimum wage in 1950, 1960 was a living wage. Now you calculate out what the minimum wage is now versus the cost of living, and you'd find out that in order to have a living wage now, the federal minimum wage would have to be $10.20 an hour to account for inflation and, you know, taxes being raised, et cetera, et cetera. All right. On top of that, you know, look at the fact that as men, we now have to pay 200% more, I believe it is, than women in taxes. And, you know, we're just getting sucked dry by the government, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you know, if we had to like overthrow the government, to be honest with you, after looking into like the Rothschild family and all that stuff, I know this is a bit unrelated, but I just want to sidetrack a bit. After like looking into, you know, the Rothschild family and all that kind of crap, it just seems a bit hard, I guess, out of reach when you look into, you know, what power they have, I guess. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. But I mean, what I'm looking at is you look at the social culture, the social economic culture, right? That we're looking at day to day. Instead of being able to quote unquote live the dream, as it were, and have a one full-time job and pay for everything, you know, like our, you know, granddads did, so to speak. You know, now we're having to. Oh yeah. Now you're looking at people that are looking at living in pod homes and looking at, you know, the smallest house they can comfortably live in. You know, buying the cheapest food on the shelf just because they're trying to survive. You know, and things like that. You know, people didn't used to have to do that. Okay, nobody takes vacations anymore, really. Because they can't afford it. They have to work all the time, and you have corporations that are demanding more and more and more output for less and less money. And if they can't get it from you, now they're outsourcing to other countries and taking the jobs away where they can pay them pennies on the dollar and leaving our economy almost jobless.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and misanthropic altruists.
You have the new tax bill that's going through, right? That's going to drive stock prices into the dirt, and, you know, which is going to take money away from our economy. And on top of that, it's giving more tax breaks to the top percentage of people. So, and while at the same time increasing taxes again on what non-existent middle class we have left. You could even call it that. Our middle class is basically just poor ass people trying to make it that still have a roof over their head at this point. So
yeah, right.
You can slice it how you want, but the greed is running rampant, and you know, we're already in that economic crisis, and people are just trying to rose color it and sugarcoat it. But we're falling down the hill fast, and until people do rise up against that, and I hate to say it, but until they take up fucking arms against the people in the White House. That's going to happen. And, you know, you can be Republican, Democrat. I don't give a shit. I'm a libertarian myself. I don't really take a side in this shit. I take the side that makes sense to me, no matter if it's Democrat, Republican, or whatever. You know, you had the Republican Party just a few weeks ago, right? That said they thought $450,000 a year was middle class pay. So that's what our lawmakers think. They think that like $400,000 a year is middle class. Well, no, fuckers, that's upper class, way upper class. That's almost $500,000 a year. You must be really bad at math, because the average American, the average whoever in the Western countries does not make that kind of money.
Yeah, nothing. So, not even half of that.
No. So we have these people that have these, like, living in fucking Wonderland with the Cheshire Cat, writing laws about our economy. So
Yeah, true. Yeah, and by the way, Misanthropic Ultra said in the live chat, we've also gotten reports from expats that for some non-Western countries, they're already too influenced by the Western feminism. Yeah, because the internet's so easily accessible. Feminism and the crap that goes on in the West is easier, I guess, to be spread. You know what I mean? Like especially with social media, all that crap being influenced in other non-Western countries, it does make sense.
yeah, I've heard a lot of that too. And he's right too. With the people that are starting to flee out of the Western countries, you have starting to see a lot of violence break out in other areas too. But,
Yeah, right. Okay, so, I was gonna ask a question, but I forgot. I had one of those brain fart moments.
no, dude, I have them too. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I was joking around the other day saying I'm gonna have to start doing some live streams on my channel too. Here and there, about topic discussions and shit.
Yeah. By the way, congratulations on passing. I think it's like, is it 0.001 K subscribers? So yeah, you're at 100 subscribers, right? 102, I think.
Yeah, I actually did break that little wall. It's about time, right? But like I've said before, I don't have a lot of subscribers because I'm not. Hell, I don't even publish shit weekly. When I have shit that hits me and I go, you know what? Fuck that shit. I'll make a video.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you actually did put in like maybe weekly videos, you would be growing pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hell, my view count on the videos I got say that would be the case. But yeah, no, I probably should start doing that. Find me at least 1 or 2 topics a week, which I actually have one right now, which was some horseshit explanation as to why, I don't know, men are the way they are. Like there was some sort of feminist article. Yeah, it was an article that said that they thought that American hypercapitalism was breeding alienated men that would become mass killers or some shit like that. I'm like, oh my god, could you get some more ideas that are just shoved up your ass? We need to talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think the question is starting to come back to me though now. I read about it a while ago. I was going through the forums on MGTOW.com, and what it was basically about was it was something about how like schools are like basically like failing men, I guess. Failing guys, I guess. You know what I mean? Like failing boys. They're not they're not, how should I say? It's not being raised properly, I guess. They're not going through a good environment. It's not exactly been built for them. So it's not working out for them. That's what I mean.
No. Academia right now is basically looking at boys that act like boys as broken girls, is what I've heard somebody say in an article. So, I mean, it's actually pretty true. So, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's been several articles over the past 2 weeks that have come out talking about that. And I think that's kind of a good thing that those articles are coming out, because even though some of them are spinning it from a feminist point of view, at least the narrative is out there to recognize that there is a problem and that we're not doing justice to boys going through school. So I think we just need to kick feminist away from the word processor and have some men write some articles from the male perspective instead of the feminist narrative to basically, I don't know, strike at that iron while it's hot, so to speak. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not so surprised about that though, since the education sector is pretty much a female-dominated field. So I'm not exactly surprised about that. Yeah, guys, excuse me for a second. By the way, Mentalist, if you hear like a bit of a buzzing sound, let me know, because my laptop battery it's running a bit low. I'm trying to plug it in, and a lot of the times, more often than not, you're gonna hear like a buzzing sound when I plug it in.
Man, one of these days, I'm just going to up and ship your ass one of these condenser mic setups.
I actually need to get like a better. The thing is that I'm still sticking to editing, or making videos and broadcasts on my on iOS devices. Actually, iMovie stopped working on my iPad for some strange reason, So I just do it on my iPod now, which has a lot more space since I just specifically use it for making videos.
Right.
But like I said, the RAM space, I need to upgrade that, or I'll get a new laptop. That's the only thing that's stopping me for getting a better condenser mic or something like that. Because there's not really a lot of condenser mics that are compatible with iOS devices. And even if there are some, I know it's called like the blue something mic, the blue. So I forgot what it was called. But it was like a pretty neat microphone. It has a table stand and everything on it. It costs like $200. So that's really the only thing that's preventing me from getting like a better microphone. I'm like talking to you right now with some earphones with the little mic on the side. So it's not that bad. You can hear me, right? So
Yeah.
That's what I'm sticking to. But yeah. All right, Misanthropic Ultras said in live chat, is gaslighting young girls to believe they are equal or superior to boys and men a way of breeding success and happiness among females? I think not. Yeah, it's not. In fact, look at feminism. Look at what it's done to this generation, to multiple generations, in fact. Look what it's done to a country, cough, cough, Sweden. Let that be an example right there.
In Australia.
Yeah, in Australia too. Pretty soon when the Rothschild family, they start to instigate World War III to get more central banks dominated, you're going to see Australia crumble. You'll see it crumble. They're going to get taken over by some other country.
Oh,
they will.
Funny. All right, like I always laugh because like you have like this one city that always stands out that is like this feminist like citadel, which is Toronto, right? But like Australia is like the continental Toronto.
Yeah. No offense to people who have autism, but I think Australia is starting to act like an autistic country. No offense to anybody who has autism, but well, that country is really messed up now.
Yeah, right. One of those. Let's say, yeah, feminism will never make women happier. It will just feed women's insatiable appetite for more. Yep.
More.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing, I haven't exactly looked into like the psychological part of female nature, but is feminism like a product of female nature and all that stuff?
Well, altruist. That's why you have the whole statistic that says that women are controlling 90% of domestic spending. Yeah.
Okay. So, basically, so let's just let me just create a scenario here. Let's say that at some point in the future, things just magically end up equal again. Everything's okay. And even if things were completely fine, they're going okay, and everything was completely equal, or some sort of a movement like feminism will appear again because that's female nature, right?
Oh, no. Not like feminism. No. They'll come up with some other pro-female movement.
Yeah. It doesn't have to have the name feminism, but just a pro-female movement.
Right. But they'll probably try to like color it, like they do with feminism. They'll try to color it as something that helps both genders. And then they'll just keep doing the same shit they were trying to do. They'll just try to be more subtle about it at first.
Right. Yeah. And right now I'm going on.
They may even throw in a few pro-male agendas just to mask the other shit they're doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And I'm trying to find just look for some sort of an article to read, I guess, online. I just looked up Sweden and feminism. I'm already seeing that it's turned into a shithole. Wow. See what the internet has to offer us. Sometimes if I'm bored, I just like to look up the word feminism, type it in, and I'll find some interesting stuff to look up. You know what I mean?
One thing Ultra was talking about automation, which, yeah, the more we do that, the more everybody's jobs are in jeopardy, the more automated we get. Which again goes back to my whole thing of like once people start losing even more jobs and people hit the street, the majority of the population becomes poor as shit, which is going to happen. It's already starting to happen. Then I think that's when you're going to start seeing an uprising and an overthrow of governments, especially dealing with the capitalist shit stuff that goes on right there. But I also think it's funny because you're talking about sexual revolutions and automation. The sex bot revolution is on the rise, so I think that's going to start pissing a lot of women off too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that was something when I made my podcast on this like the future of feminism or something like that. I was actually considering on putting that in, but when I actually recorded it the first time, it was over half an hour, too
Oh
long
shit!
about how
Break that up.
feminism. Yeah, yeah. It was really that long. It was really that long with feminism and like the whole thing about the sex bots. It really was that long. I wish I could actually like show you the script, but I actually deleted it for
When they
for the
started
sake of
attacking
space.
the leader of, or not the leader, but when they started attacking the creator of the real dolls or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny. They basically just tried to use shaming tactics over and over again on him, talking about he looks like some kind of crazy Good Charlotte band member. And I'm like, well, you know what, motherfucker? If he was a Good Charlotte band member, that motherfucker still got more success and money than you. So fuck off.
Yeah, right. They're gonna be like, you are object. Well, is sex bots are sex bots objectifying women? I don't think they are, right?
Well, not unless women become, mechanical pieces of property. So
True.
if they want to say that being a spot objectifies women, they're objectifying themselves with the statement.
Okay, true point. True point. Yeah, true point. All right, yeah, I'm trying to find some interesting article maybe that I can cover and then get turn on the screen share and go over it. Uh, yeah, let's see what I could find if I type in the word man. Oh, got another one. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Have you heard about how in the New York City subway thingy, what do you call it? Subway, the MTA, yeah, MTA, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, how they're removing the ladies and gentlemen announcement stuff. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't heard that, but that's just, more of our culture becoming way too PC for its own fucking good.
Yeah, exactly. So with with the way that things are going, how far is this really going to go? By the point, because basically they're going to be replacing ladies and gentlemen with words like everyone and passengers, and before you know it, everyone and passengers is going to be a gender. Like they're trying, you know what I mean? There's going to be so many genders, and nobody's going to know what to call people by. People is going to be a gender. Customers is going to be a gender. You won't know who to refer people by.
There was a video actually I looked at earlier today that made fun of some of that. And it was on Hairless Apes channel, I think it was. He had a playlist under What the Fuck playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And it had this deal where basically a group of people made this skit about how, overly fucked off, PC and equality culture was becoming. Basically how people would have to, they killed off all the straight white males, and you men could get arrested for 20 years just for disagreeing with females, and they had to thank the dinosaurs every 5 minutes for the air they breathed because they were the original owners of oxygen in the air, some shit. And it's funny because do I really legitimately think it'll ever get that ridiculous? No, but do I think it will get to the point where everybody feels so oppressed all the time? And eventually people will start saying, fuck this shit, we've had enough. Yes, because you only oppress people so much before they fight back. And I think that's going to happen eventually. I think people will get to the point where there's so much pressure on them walking around every day that you got motherfuckers having to go to a therapist every day for some, just because they live in this society and the way it is.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to get to the point where people just go fucking enough, and we're done.
Right. Yeah, and also in society as a whole, how bad do you predict that things will be? Like, I mean, what I mean by how bad, I mean how unsafe, I guess, is it going to be for men in the future? You know what I mean? Like, to the point, is it going to be to the point where you can't walk outside without being called a rapist, or how are things going to be in the future? Because you got to keep in mind that things are really changing with the MGTOW stuff.
Be called rapist. That happens now in certain areas.
I
mean, that's already a thing. I mean, you can turn on your TV and you're getting called a rapist for being a male every day.
Well, yeah, true. And I've heard that before. That women or feminists saying that all potential men are rapists. Well, all women are potential thieves of your freedom and liberty. Am I right?
Oh,
When I come back to that.
repeat that one.
So, how feminists say that all men are potential rapists,
Yeah.
all women are potential thieves to your freedom and liberty.
Well, I'd say, that second one is true right now because they're using their ideology to steal our freedom and liberties every day.
Yeah, they definitely are.
Through either through using the state to legally abduct a man's children, using the state to force the man to pay alimony or child support simply because they wanted to give up on a marriage when the man didn't. Stealing a man's children through custody laws by using the fucked up biased court system when it deals with reproductive rights, dealing with men, shaming tactics, and using society to pressure and shame a man to the point that they're committing suicide, left and right. So yeah, I mean, right now they are doing those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, I was looking up something. No, I was just scrolling through Family Systems Tech, and you guys are doing a pretty good job with that, by the way. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, I appreciate that. Those guys are good. I have stopped my efforts with Family System Tech for personal reasons, mostly dealing with the fact that I wanted some contractual protection, for any effort I put into that. I didn't see that getting done, so I decided to pull my efforts out of it until that was established. So for now, I mean, I still think those guys are doing a good job, and I fully back them and support them. I'm just no longer involved in that right now.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you. And also, I'm actually wondering though, when will YouTube itself? I know this is unrelated, but when will YouTube itself crash? Not just because of MGTOW stuff, but channels that aren't even MGTOW. Channels that are deemed, I guess, as normal channels according to Susan Wojcicki or whatever. They're getting they're being affected by the crap that's going on. The demonetization or I forgot what it's called, the demonetization problem. Videos being banned, all that stuff. Like Casey Neistat, he got a video. It was like a video for the Las Vegas shooting, and he wanted to create like a GoFundMe, and it got demonetized. Things like that. YouTube is already turned into a literal shithole. I don't care if you have literal views, but that's what it's turned into. And obviously, people are starting to they're really we want to leave YouTube, but they're not leaving YouTube. I mean, nobody knows where to go. Everybody's going to split off into different directions. So what exactly is going to happen to YouTube? Where's everything going to go? Because everybody's going to go to different directions. Some are going to go to minds.com, some are going to go to vid.me, some are going to go to wherever it may be. So what exactly is going to happen to YouTube, in your opinion?
Well, right now, I think YouTube is starting to slit its own throat. And Altruist, I'm going to come back to what you just said right there about the suicide prevention and stuff. But I think that it's going to slit its own throat because it's going to start pissing off its content producer base, because I think it's using this PC drive of demonetizing videos to help it not have to pay out so much itself too. I think that's again, YouTube is kind of running on its own greed intercept there, so to speak, and I think that's using this social wave of PC culture to help not have to pay out so much, to help its own profit margins a little bit. But also, I think it is also some of it is just overly PC culture, and I think it's going to allow that horseshit to slit its own throat, and people are going to start going to other platforms that are not demonetizing and things like that. Either that, or you're going to have people that eventually are going to do what I plan to do and just build their own platform. So.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry. I'm trying
to what you're saying there.
right.
The the ability to help, with suicide prevention and things like that are one of the reasons I've been supporting Movember, the Movember Foundation.
Yep.
Because over the last few years, they've actually raised over $550 US per year to help fund men's health and men's suicide prevention and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Okay, and this is just another question I'm wondering. So, do just politicians, whoever may be in general, do they prefer, I guess, to help out or to fund feminists or men's rights activists more? Like, who would they prefer to fund? It can be, off of statistics. It can be off of your own personal experiences. Who do they prefer?
Now, man, Academy. Who was it you were asking me about?
Oh no, I was asking you. Do feminists, do they prefer to not feminists, politicians and people in the government, do they prefer to help out and fund men's rights activists more or feminists more? Who do they prefer to fund or help out?
Feminists. Men rights activists barely get help from anybody except for their own supporters.
Okay, so why is that so? Is it? I mean, I don't get it though. Why is it so?
Because it's what's socially acceptable right now. Feminism still has the highest part of the social narrative right now. So,
yeah, that's a problem.
Politicians are going to go with who has the most social support and what looks better for them to support. Men's rights activists right now, even though the narrative is beginning to change, the biggest part of the social narrative is still being controlled by feminism as in regards to gender equality, right? They have the ball of people, as it were, backing them, which gives them, the loudest scream. Go figure. So
yeah, right.
So that's why I'm going to back them. I mean, you have some. I know of a few politicians that are starting to pay attention to men's rights activism and male, gender role problems, but they're still not wanting to give too much public, push to it yet because the narrative hasn't changed enough. All right, I believe they're poising themselves to go with the shift when it happens. In a more public dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go.
Yeah, right. And excuse me. So I had one of those brain fart moments again. Okay. So never mind, I lost it. I was trying to think of something, but I forgot. Heck. I'm trying to think of it again.
Well, I like getting into
I was going to say
we've been streaming for 2 hours and we haven't really lost. We're not lost for subjects.
Oh yeah, we haven't. Wow. How long has it been? Nearly 2 hours?
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah. 1 hour, 38 minutes, something like that. Wow.
Oh, mine says we started 3 minutes. Yeah, my bad.
What does yours say? To over 2 hours?
It says about 2 hours.
About 2 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Well, like I said, that's why I like
okay.
to talk with you because we can go for a long time and we never really run out of content to talk about for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Okay. Now it's coming back to me. Okay, so what can we do, mentalists, to create that social change or to change the narrative, so to speak, with pro-men stuff?
All right,
what can we do about that?
The first thing we got to look at is if we're going to start changing an area, we got to start looking at changing legislature and things like that. We have to start actually talking about these things, right, in a more public setting, one-on-one every day, with people that we know, right? So, for one thing, like if you see pro-male petitions out there on places like change.org, like I have one that I've been supporting for a while about and I was helping push it for a long time, and I still do here and there. But there's a petition that's been going on that's got 100 some odd signatures now about creating a male domestic violence shelter that centers on male-specific needs for male victims in North Carolina, because we're trying to actually get one opened out here. So creating, trying to help create change, create conversations, write, your public officials, your legislatures, call them, leave voicemails, voice your opinion, right? You can't change anything unless you're willing to actually make an effort. So if you want to change the narrative, you have to make an effort to do that. And it can be everything from your day-to-day conversations with people, trying to gently nudge the point of recognizing fucked up male gender roles and things like that, just like women have it. Like if you hear people get into a conversation about how bad women have it over here, you can attempt to gently nudge a point in that conversation about how it's not a fucking sparkly green grass situation on our side of the fence either when it deals with social issues. All right, when you talk about how when you hear women talk about how women are treated as sex objects, this and the other, if you're listening to the conversation and they seem like they might actually be somewhat reasonably minded people and they're not just rabid assholes, why don't you go, hey, I remember hearing about that conversation with some people too. And, we started talking about gender roles. We talked about how, men have these gender roles too, where we're expected to be these providers. So, like how women are sex objects, actually society looks at us like as success objects. We have
to. Exactly. They see us as tools.
Right. And, you can walk away from the kind of just be like, hey, I'll see you guys later. Think about that, and just put the idea into people's heads and let them think about it, then let them research it. Because if you use that statement right there and they go Google men as success objects, it's going to bring them to the Red Pill documentary, which is going to open their brains a little bit if they watch it. And it's also going to bring them to Warren Farrell's book, The Myth of Male Power. Mm-hmm. So, leave seeds for people to think about that will lead them to red pill information where they can red pill themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And like misanthropic altruist said in the live chat, we're disposable tools and highly replaceable tools. If one of us dies, big deal. The government doesn't care. Society doesn't care. Nobody cares. You're just going to be replaced. Simple as that.
One of the biggest men's rights issues that they try to tackle is male disposability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's male disposability.
Because we're expected to take all the dangerous jobs and the one going to wars and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a mentalist. Have you ever heard of a feminist that was advocating for women to, take on more dangerous jobs like building skyscrapers in New York City or something like that?
Oh yeah, no. And you know what? I actually, voiceformen.com published an article I wrote about the Day Without Women, where I basically stated that until women are out there doing those kind of dangerous jobs next to men, we're not going to take them seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
With that kind of stuff. You know what? You want to be a CEO? That's great. That's cool. Go be a fucking CEO. But you know what? I don't hear feminism advocating, for female garbage workers or, female, people in construction, doing those dangerous jobs. I don't hear them advocating for female crab fishing and shit like that.
Right.
I don't hear that shit. I don't see that shit. And because society has trained everybody to recognize us as disposable in wars and disposable in the workforce, we're also disposable as fathers, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
We're training that to be okay at the same time.
Yeah, and I also saw this. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. It was about these. I'm not sure if I can look it up. Actually, I'll be able to tell you where this occurred. It was in a country where women. It was these girls and these boys. They're like kidnapped or something, and only like 257 of these girls were kidnapped. They got all the media attention. 10,000 boys were kidnapped. They barely got any attention. In fact,
Boko Haram. Yeah.
Boko Haram. Yeah, Boko Haram. Yeah, that's it. And yeah, you continue.
Oh, no. Boko Haram, no. Boko Haram was a terrorist group that was trying to spread Islamic rule, or not Islam rule, but Islamic ideology and whatnot through Africa, right? And so they kidnapped and killed, hundreds of thousands of boys, right, and men, and just slaughtered them, left them lined up in fucking piles, right, all over the place. But, the moment they kidnapped 200 girls, right, and they had kidnapped girls before, but they would let them go, right, and tell them, go live this great life, with Allah or whatever, and, go get married and have these kids and shit. And they would let them go. But, they weren't getting any attention from Western media because they were killing the fuck out of all these boys or burning them alive. Burning them alive. Right? And they weren't getting any attention. Right? That's a fucked up way to go, man. They weren't getting any attention by all this fucking horrific acts they were committing. But let these motherfuckers go actually kidnap 200 girls and just hold them hostage. And oh yeah, Western social justice went into full effect. Bring back our girls, 200 girls. Okay, what about these hundreds of thousands of fucking guys they've been killing forever?
I remember that Boko Haram thing going on when I was like in the 3rd grade, but I never even knew until I recently looked it up that 10,000 boys were kidnapped. My jaw literally dropped open when I read that 10,000 boys were kidnapped and never got any media attention or social media attention whatsoever. It's jaw-dropping, literally.
No, and killed. They weren't just kidnapped. They were kidnapped.
Yeah, and killed. Exactly. Heck. And why do you okay, so no. I already asked that question. Okay. So is there some actual like psychological or biological reason behind why men are seen as tools and why women are like seen as put on a pedestal, why they're so important or more important than men? Is there like a specific reason, a scientific reason behind why things are why they are?
Now Altruist just said something over here that drew my attention. All right, Altruist, I hope your life is somewhere in between fair and and not. I hope it's in the middle of that. All right, man.
Well, life is unfair. Life is drastically unfair. Yeah.
Right. Sorry, man. Statements like that just draw my attention because I'm just like, hey, man, if you're having like some stuff you need some help with, please get some help because like I don't like seeing anybody go through, anything like that. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Jimmy Jam says, I finally found the movie The Red Pill. So reassuring to know I'm not the only guy who has seen these facts. Gotta see it, guys. Yeah. I've seen the Red Pill documentary recently, from an illegal Japanese website apparently, but it was still a pretty good documentary actually.
Yeah, no, you can actually, if you have a Hulu account, you can see it on Hulu now.
Is Hulu free?
Yeah, well, Hulu's not free, but it's like. I get it. I have an account with Spotify, and there's like a package deal. You can get premium Spotify and Hulu now, or something like that. I have that.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can find out basically a new topic to look up. Usually, whenever my mind goes blank and I don't have anything to talk about, I usually just go online.
I got a little sidetracked over there with that altruism.
Yeah. Hey, you got anything you want to talk about?
Well, one of the things I was, looking at doing a video on here pretty soon was why the hell, feminism, feels the need to explain a man's problems and issues from their point of view. I don't. That's like entitlement to the max, in my opinion. They talk about, our mansplaining. Oh, you have men problems. Let me explain that for you. Like, what the fuck? And does your hypocrisy know no bounds?
Right. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry to cut you off really quickly, but Carlos B1 said in the live chat, what do you guys think about all these women appearing on YouTube that took the red pill? Well, I would have to say, for my opinion, is that, well, for one, I'm glad that, women are realizing what us men are going through and what, or how we feel. And two, well, that's it. I mean, either they want to support us or not. We simply don't care. That's kind of the point of going your own way. You don't care. So I'm simply just glad that we're getting more attention. And, Mentals, you just sent me that picture earlier before the stream about MGTOW being shared in the newspaper. Being in the newspaper, MGTOW, well, women being aware of the red pill stuff, MGTOW stuff. I'm glad about that. I'm glad about that.
The front page of the newspaper. I was like, holy shit.
Oh, that was the front page?
Yeah. That was the front page.
Oh, shit. The front page, wow. That will be the first thing that everybody's going to see. Wow.
Yeah. That's what I thought was interesting about it. Is it wasn't just that it was in a newspaper. It was that it was in the front page of the newspaper.
Yeah. Imagine being able to tell somebody, if somebody's asking, how did you discover MGTOW? Oh, I was just reading the paper one day and I read about MGTOW. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Well, it goes back to, as a side note, it always goes back to a lot of people, in the red pill movements, the red pill ideologies, not movements, but saying that, they hate, blue pill men, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, hey, man, the biggest majority of us were blue pill at some point. We had to find, red pill knowledge. We had either somebody give it to us or we found it on our own. So don't be hating on blue pill people. Just try to help them understand the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Help turn them.
Right. Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to find this forum right here. I read it a long time ago. In fact, when I was talking about how I found MGTOW, is like I was looking up stuff about like female nature and different questions. One of the questions was, do women marry for money? That kind of stuff. I was just Googling it before I even found MGTOW, and I came across this anti-MGTOW article, and that's how I basically found out about MGTOW.
Well, see,
so
here
I'm trying to actually find it.
Well, altruist to what you're talking about mainstream society validating MGTOW. The thing about MGTOW is MGTOW doesn't need mainstream society to validate it. It's just interesting that they are doing it for themselves. So that's what I find interesting about it. They're validating it for them because we didn't need their validation. We never have. But it's interesting to watch them do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. The misanthropic altruist added that, so getting excited that MGTOW seems to be going mainstream seems odd to me. Well, I mean, I'm not really like over the top excited and jittery just because, people are recognizing MGTOW. I'm simply happy with the fact that it's becoming more widespread. Look, if MGTOW, regardless of it being spread, like regardless of it being on a newspaper or if billions of guys online just started to say that they're going the right way, I would still be happy because the thing is that the philosophy is spreading. In fact, I'd rather prefer it to be, a bit less mainstream. But once again, as long as it's growing and not doing any harm itself, I'm happy with that. But yeah, remember, we're not there for mainstream validation. We're there for ourselves, and that's it. I'm simply just glad to know that the philosophy itself is growing. That's all that I'm trying to say here.
Well, mine's twofold. The reason I get excited about it and happy about it is not about us needing them to validate us. That's never been what my excitement's about with that. My excitement is, one, by us getting mainstream attention in their world. I'm using kind of air quotes here when I say in their world, in their side of culture, so to speak. That's just spreading information about what we're doing, which is in turn going to wake more people up to becoming red pill themselves. So it's going to happen. All right. So the second fold part about that is that by that going a little mainstream and getting that narrative out there, right? By having that attention, it's going to start, opening more narratives, more conversation, which in turn is going to create positive change. Hopefully, for men.
Hopefully.
So I'm happy
Yeah.
about those aspects of it. I could give a shit less whether somebody agrees with my ideology or not. You know, it's my ideology. I own it. I'm secure in my beliefs. I don't need your validation for that, right? But it's nice, you know, for me to basically, in my eyes, see somebody else having the opportunity through this getting the attention to be opened up to having those blinders taken off and taking that red pill and getting that truth for themselves.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So another thing I'm wondering though, will at some point MGTOW, and like you said a while back earlier in the stream, Mentalist, the red pill knowledge is not going away. And now that you explained that, it does make sense. But will the MGTOW lifestyle thing itself go away? Like, will traditionalism come back and all that stuff? Like, basically what I'm trying to say is that at some point in the future, MGTOW will be like the norm, I guess. It'll be normal to not get married. However, there could be a revolution-like movement that promotes marriage and all that stuff. And that's what the governments are trying to do right now. So
of course they are.
Will that happen? Like, will traditionalism come back with all the tradcons, trying to bring back traditionalism and all that stuff?
You may see a wave of that. I mean, you may, right? Because you're going to have some people that are just going to go back to the plantation. They're going to give up the fight, so to speak, and go back to that. And you're going to have a lot of society, and especially with the influence of government structure, that are going to try to push pro-marriage agendas, right? Because they want that money, right? They make money when people get married. They want that, right? Not to mention that it's a form of control. So there's that. So yeah, they want that. But I think that you're going to more and more, as things progress, you're going to see more and more people beginning to harbor their independence a little more closely, and hold that closer to their chest, and it's going to become more sacred to them, because with the way the world is, the government and the capitalist nature is closing in society, people's independence is becoming more important to them. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, sorry. There's this guy I was talking to. I had a couple of live streams with him. He's also like in the 8th grade, about the same age as I am. And his name, he goes by like the YouTube name, I guess, Rick Astley. Trying to find him, like send him the link to join the call. I'm not sure if he's available though.
Oh, no. Well, what'd you say he goes by?
He goes by Rick Astley. I'm not joking.
Oh, this asshole's rickrolling everybody every time he comes onto a stream.
Yeah, he might. Oh, wow. Yeah, but I will tell you though, this guy is the ultimate thought slayer. He does slay thoughts. He shows those thoughts no mercy whatsoever.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. If you wouldn't mind giving me a sec, I'm going to take a quick restroom break on this midstream here.
Yeah, sure, no problem. No problem. Okay. Well, while Mentalist is taking a shitter or taking a piss, whatever he's doing, I'm gonna see if I can find me an article to cover. Let's see, what article can I cover? Sometimes I just like to go over different articles covering different things. So let's see, we have 8 people watching. Holy crap! How you people must have nothing else to do, don't you? 8 people have been watching a 14-year-old rant on about some random stuff on a live stream for about 2 hours. Wow. Okay, let's see what I can find on the internet. Let's see what happens when I type in feminism. Let's go to type in feminism. Go to the news. See what's there. Ooh, okay. Let's see what this article has to say. Oh, I might do that one. No, I'll do this one. After the Weinstein effect, what's next for feminism? What's this article have to say? Okay, let's turn on the screen share thingamajig. Where is it? Yeah, Mr. Thropic said in the live chat, you don't match women's lack of self-awareness. You demonstrate more self-awareness. Right. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to see if I can get the screen share thing working. we'll move on to covering this article right here. All right, so let's see if you guys can see it. Okay, so I'm gonna wait. There is a bit of a lag between because like I said, I'm monitoring the live stream off my iPad, and I want to make sure that I'm seeing. Well, you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. Okay, it's working. Sorry, just want to make sure it's working. All right, so this article is from telesurftv.net, and it's titled or after the Weinstein effect, what's next for feminism? Well, like I said, if you watch my podcast titled The Future of Feminism, you will know that I've said that the future of feminism will start to focus more on this wonderful word called sexual harassment. And the definition of that may change. So let's see. The issue of violence against women in the form of sexual abuse and harassment is experiencing unprecedented exposure in the Western world, with scandals shaking the beating heart of mainstream media, global pop culture, Hollywood, and its movie industry. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to read that entire thing right there. But, yeah, see this right here? This is what I'm talking about. Suddenly, the realization that we don't live in an equal post-feminist society has been reached. So, when they mean by that we don't live in an equal post-feminist society, do they mean that, like, men have it better or women have it better? Pretty sure it's women have it better. Oh, wow. You back? I think Mentalist. Oh, you're there? Okay, sorry. No, I was just looking over this article over here. It's about how, like wondering what's gonna be, going on next for feminism. And, as I predicted, sort of, it's gonna be more about sexual harassment. And, okay, here, Mentalist, let me ask you this question. This is actually just something that just came out at the top of my head. So right now, I'm in the 8th grade, and I'm about to go to high school. So how do you think that the policies basically are going to be like, as I go into high school and into the workplace and whatnot? How are things going to be by the time I actually get into the real world? Like how bad are the policies going to be? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how bad are things going to be in the future? Influence of everything going on.
As you're going into high school, man, right now, I think you're going to get caught in this weird, almost transitionary period.
Mm-hmm.
Where, since red pill knowledge is starting to gain some prominence, it's almost like you're going to be on this front line of the narrative change as you're going through high school and then out into the workforce. I think you're going to see, and I'm hoping, right, this almost be crossing my fingers, but I'm hoping you're going to see the beginning of a shift. Feminism starts to lose a lot of its power. So that's my hope of what you're going to see. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but it could be if we keep up, the push and the pressure with the narrative changing like it is. So let's hope that is how it's going to go.
Right. Yeah. And another thing is that I've heard that colleges specifically are, they're obviously not what they used to be anymore, because a lot of them have started to liberal wastelands and all that. But are they specifically like bad for guys? Like they can actually, harm guys, colleges and all that stuff? I just heard that. I know it doesn't make sense. But would you be able to make something out of that?
Well, right now I'm actually a non-traditional student, and I'm actually going to university right now, so I'm getting to see a lot of frontline view of a lot of what's going on. And right now, yes, colleges can hurt young men going in, right? Now, I personally fight back on that shit. I had a college professor that specifically said to me, right after the ad drop period in college, she actually flat out said to her classroom that she hates men.
What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She said that to the classroom. It was not even a couple days later, I was sitting in front of the dean's office talking about that one. We had a long conversation about that.
Did she get fired?
She did not get fired. However, I'm pretty sure she definitely got reprimanded over it. Because, it seemed like the way she acted, it seemed like I had her by the fucking ovaries for the rest of the semester. She was very nice to me for the rest of the semester.
Okay. Yeah. I wonder why. I actually wonder why.
Because I won't put up with their fucking horse shit.
Yeah, take that. Yeah. Wow. Imagine if it was all the way around. Imagine if it was a man that straight out said that I hate all women. With the way that the current narrative is,
He'd be fired.
he would be tossed in jail probably.
Yeah, if not that, but he would at least be fired from his job.
Yeah, at least be fired. Yeah. Okay. How do you get this whole entire? Sorry, I'm trying to.
You definitely got a pussy pass on all of it, but at least you didn't got a complete pass on it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Speaking of the pussy pass, that reminds me of a question I wanted to ask earlier, but of course I forgot it because I'm a forgetful person. So you did tell me a while ago, actually, it was several months ago, about how now we had this judge in the Supreme Court that cited that there is, I think it's like court bias in family law or something like that. Basically, with divorces, there's court bias against like the dads and all that. And when you told me that, I was like, oh yeah, no shit. But why is that so? You know what I mean? Like,
all right, why is it so that there's a bias, or why is it so that that was stated?
No, why is it so that there's a bias?
Because we've always been treating men as disposable. Because of male disposability being okay in our culture, that's why it's that way. Because, like I said, we treated men as disposable in war. We treated men as disposable in the workforce. All right, and that has trained society to look at men as disposable as fathers. All right, so not to mention you have the way that feminism set up, and during Women's Lib, they actually pushed to have the legislation, written towards that, to that end. All right, and every time that the MRAs or anybody has come and tried to change that legislature, they fought it tooth and nail because it benefits women.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When you talk about how fathers are seen as disposable, that actually does make a lot more sense. Now, I'm aware of male disposability, but when you mention that fathers are seen like that, yeah, that actually does make sense.
Well, you think about the way our culture has gone. I mean, if men are disposable, in war, and that's okay. And if men are disposable, and taking high-risk jobs and workplace fatalities, right? Either they take those kind of jobs or they're not seen as men, right? They lose their identity if they don't take those jobs. So they're disposable in the workforce because of the social pressure and the acceptance of our society of that case. How does that not set them up to also be disposable as dads?
Right. Yeah. And another thing that I'm just wondering, I know I wonder a lot. I always say another thing I'm wondering, but I'm just wondering how a lot of girls my age have this horrible attitude. And I honestly don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to make sense out of what a lot of girls my age are saying. Last year, there was this one girl, she's pretty annoying. I was sitting with her, and she just straight out said, oh my God, girls are so much better than guys. And this is before I, was a MGTOW, I guess, before I swallowed the red pill, really. But even then, I knew it was about to be a ton of bullshit, so I just tuned her out. But regardless of that, I always get this horrible feeling in the air, basically, around women. You may call me a woman hater, but I do. Like, why is there such a divide between men and girls? I mean, when you're younger, usually, things are like, oh, yeah, boys are disgusting. That's just how girls are at a younger age. But even at this, this age where, we're going through puberty and we're starting to feel attraction to each other, why is there usually still a divide? That's the one thing that I don't get.
Altruist touched on it a little bit right there in his comment about single moms. All right, you have a generation, right, of both boys and girls, right. And a lot of single moms are raising these kids. Okay, I hate to say it, single moms are not equipped, primarily, in most circumstances, are not equipped as individuals, right, to raise children on their own, right? The nuclear family is supposed to be that way. It is supposed to be a nuclear family. you're supposed to have both parents involved in the raising of the kids. But unfortunately, feminism and the state are both trying to, quote unquote, empower these women that primarily get custody of kids because of the bias in the courtrooms to think that they can do this job on their own because they're strong, independent ladies, right? Okay, well, I call it bullshit. Right? We're living in a culture where because women are primarily more suited, being parents, to do the caring and nurture side of the child rearing and things like that. Right? Men have traditionally always been the authoritarians, and that's what we're more predisposed to teaching, kids what is right, what is wrong, and having, that authoritative mentality in order to back it up. All right. Right. Mm-hmm. Men are made to lead the children, right? That's right. Our role in child rearing, and now that role is being taken out. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
So now you have one side of parenting, you don't have the other side of parenting, and unfortunately, the side of parenting that is there, all right, you're raising kids that are just told, no, don't do that, but they're not actually given any consequences whenever they fuck up. All right, they're just basically getting a little bit of a tongue lashing, and that's the extent of the discipline they're getting, and that's it. Mm-hmm. All right, so that raises, if you think about that, if you're a kid, right, if you're a little bitty kid, and the worst you ever get is a little bit of a tongue lashing, right, you're now being raised to think there's no real consequences to you acting out and being a little asshole.
Right.
So with that being the case, you can just pretty much think you can go around and do whatever you want. So if you have the mentality that you can go around and do whatever you want, what does that mean? What's another word for that mentality?
Right. Entitlement.
Hey,
there we go. For once, I guessed something correctly.
So yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's entitlement. And so that's where you're getting that from. You're getting that from single parent homes, raised by females, kids raised by females that are doing it by themselves, and the kids don't have both sides of the parenting.
Right.
And so since they don't have that side that actually gives them consequences to their actions, doesn't give them, the realization that what you do is going to directly impact the quality of your life in the immediate future. So,
right.
They get this attitude of, they don't really have to give a shit what the rules are and what people say. They just worry about themselves, like selfish little entitled shits. So there you go.
Yeah, well said. And another thing that I've been wondering, because I wonder a lot, why do women wear makeup? Like, why do they care about their appearance? And I call it fake up, actually, not makeup. What's the point of that?
Socialization. It's what media tells them they need to do. It's what you've got this generations after generations of men that don't go for women, that aren't wearing makeup, shit like that, and you've got mass media telling them that's what they need to do. You've got Cosmo magazine telling them all the best makeup they can wear to quote unquote get the guy. It really that's all that shit is. It's just them listening to everybody tell them, how they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And another thing that I can't really seem to point my finger on. Oh, no. Okay. Now let me rephrase that. Sometimes I don't know how to phrase things. So from a young age, women learn to manipulate boys, and I can see that every day when I go to school. For example, this is one girl in a science class. She just has this guy. She's nice to me and all that. In fact, out of all the girls I know, she's probably one of the sweetest ones there, one of the not spoiled ones. But regardless of that, she's she learns how to manipulate boys to do things for her using her looks. Is there some sort of a biological impact? Because what a lot of times, not a lot of times, what's happening now is whatever us MGTOWs are saying is actually being backed up by science. Like, for example, this is a new study that came out of women, scientifically being proven to have a backup plan. And also, women are, through like it was like a study showing that women enjoyed it when their partners or their husbands or their boyfriends were upset or were in distress, and vice versa for men. They were, they liked their relationship when the women were happy. You know what I mean? So we're starting to see a lot of science on the side of MGTOW now, but the whole notion or the idea that women learn to manipulate boys from a young age, is that some sort of a biological trait that's female
I think
nature?
so. I think so. And the reason is it's if you look at our biology, right? Men are physically stronger and more capable. You know, as far as getting shit done in the physical world, right?
Right.
And so if you look at that from a biological standpoint, okay, um, yes, women don't have to figure out ways to manipulate men in order to quote unquote attract a mate, right? To give them that protection and provision that comes from having a strong male mate. Right? So biologically, if we were wild animals, yeah, you would have to look at it from that standpoint. Um,
Okay.
yes, that's exactly why they have to learn how to manipulate men. And the whole desire for to piss off their male mate also would come from that same animalistic nature because if you look at every other species and creature in nature, the male has to give a show of strength and shit like that to attract the female, right? In
Right.
nature. So it's the same shit. They're wanting to goad the male into that show of strength because basically it gets them off. So that's where I think that comes from. Because
Right.
you can try to dress up human beings all you want, but in the end, we're still animals too.
Right. Yeah, okay. And another thing is that this is about the MGTOW community as a whole. Do you think there's going to be like some sort of obviously, some people, some MGTOWs have problems with each other, but do you think it's going to be like, in the future, MGTOW is going to be so huge that it's basically like it just splits in half? And I know that may seem weird, possible. And if so, what happens to like the MGTOW philosophy if it splits in half? Because remember, a lot of it, the whole, well, not entirely, but a major concept, I guess, of MGTOW is to be there for each other, to support each other. I mean, look, you're going your own way, but you're there to support each other. That's why our channels are here, to support each other. But I was on a stream just like literally a few hours earlier on Mexican MGTOW's channel, and he was with SPI Latino, and they were talking about how some channels have beef against each other and how they don't like it, and I don't like it either because it's really unnecessary. Yeah, it's really unnecessary. We're here to support each other, yet we have this unnecessary crap going on because people can't have they have different views, they have different opinions. So, like, what will happen if there is some sort of like a big giant divide in the MGTOW community?
Well, I mean, look at it this way: for as long as red pill philosophy has been out here, there's been divisions in red pill philosophy and how people want to use that knowledge, I guess is a good way to put it. So you're going to have that, man. I mean, for as long as there's been people, there's been divisions over very similar ideas. Look at every religion out there, every ideology out there. There's always different subsects of ideologies and thought processes and things like that. So you're going to have that, man. There's no getting around it. It's going to happen. Do I like it? No, I'm with you. I really don't like it. I wish we could all work together for a brighter future, for men. That'd be great. that would be awesome. But you're always going to have people that think differently. Well, we're all human beings. We all do that, and so we're just going to have to. Those of us that can are just going to have to accept the fact that not everybody is going to see things the same way as everybody else. And
Right, yeah.
hey, that's what makes us human. So being able to think for ourselves, that is the part of us that makes us intelligent beings. Is being able to, and at least I revel in the fact that all of us as red pill men and as MGTOW, at least we are thinking for ourselves, and I think that will always remain one of the biggest core things, as far as the philosophy of MGTOW is, at least we are awakened and we are thinking for ourselves.
Right. And by the way, Joe, I think it's pronounced Booty, said in the live chat that he's replying to Misanthropic Altruist. He said that white knights enable single motherhood, and this is something I've said many times before, and I'm gonna say it again. White knights, manginas, and all that crap, those kind of guys, they are the only ones out there that are supporting the feminist-based narrative.
Well,
if they weren't there to support them, that wouldn't even be a thing.
Maybe so, but I mean, if that's the case, we have an awful lot of white knights that are writing laws and legislature, because state,
it's the legislature that's following the narrative,
right? The state is
it's the legislature
push that to also, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? In the future, as this red pill knowledge or red pill wisdom stuff spreads, I think the amount of white knights and simps and all that stuff, it's going to go down a lot. That's what I honestly think.
Well, I mean, I hope it does, because I mean, Jesus Christ, people need to wake the fuck up. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, exactly. And if people, and you also agree with the fact that there's always still going to be that small percentage of white knights and manginas and all that stuff, right? There's still going to be that small percentage.
I think they're always going to be a small percentage, but again, I mean, you can't. Some people can see the truth standing right in front of them, and they still can't fucking accept it. So I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Mentalist. Right now, where I live. Well, no. You live in Eastern Standard Time too, right?
Yeah, I'm
sure you do. Yeah. Right now it's 12:20 a.m. and I'm pretty freaking tired. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream right here. You have anything else you want to say before I end it?
Man, I think it's been a pretty good talk. We covered a lot of topics. I would like to thank the people that have been watching and the people that have been making comments and things in the live chat. So, guys, thank you for participating in the conversation through the live chat. So I always appreciate that when we talk.
Yeah. Anyways, so Mentalist, I might have another one of these streams. I'm trying to do streams like every week, like maybe every Friday. So, if you're available next Friday, I'll message you and see if you're available, all right?
Well, Fridays are typically a night that I work. I refused to go. I have my own business, so I refused to work tonight and get out and about because it's Black Friday and fuck that shit.
Yep. I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, so staying the hell home on Black Fridays if I have the option. So, my freer days to do a stream. You wanted to do a weekly stream would be like Wednesday and Monday.
Wednesday and Monday. Not so sure about Wednesday, man. I'll try. See what I can do about that. But yeah. Well, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for now. I'm actually pretty tired. I'm not sure if you can tell by my voice, but I actually am. I really need to catch up on some sleep. So yeah, everybody, Mentalist MGTOW, thank you for coming up on the stream and have a great night.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. You take it easy and get some rest, man. Guys.
You too.